The Minnesota Vikings just made a sneaky good move I'm going to tell you about in this video. Hit subscribe if you're a Vikings fan or looking for anything NFC North related content. Let's jump straight into it and waste zero time. The Vikings have just made another move, a series of moves from the Vikings over the last week and a half or so. The Vikings hiring Matt Thomas as a football administration consultant, and he will assist the team throughout the 2026 NFL draft, which is a smart move because when you fire your GM ahead of the draft, it's kind of a scary time, okay? One of the most respected salary cap executives, Thomas spent 11 seasons as the Seahawks VP of football operations. He'll allow interim coach Rob Brzezinski to focus on the big picture. This is a fascinating move, and it's honestly, it's brilliant because there is a history. As my counterpart, Ben, who covers the Green Bay Packers on this channel, pointed out recently, although I disagree with a lot of other things he said, it's an uphill battle to go into the draft with an interim general manager. That is not an ideal situation, but it is going to happen to the Minnesota Vikings this time around. Diana Rossini, I believe, is the one who kind of broke that this was just kind of going to be a done deal, that they're going to go interim until after the draft. Now, there's a lot to make out of that in general. And I will disagree with Ben on the statement that the Vikings are just a dumpster fire, that the Vikings are what did he say, front office malpractice or something like that. Look, I think that's crazy. You can't keep guys around who are hurting your front office or hurting your team. So if you don't think Kwesi's the guy, I don't really care if it's April 15th, like you drop him. You got to find a way to make the moves that make the most sense, and you have to be willing to take those risks when things are not working. So I have no problem with the Vikings getting rid of a guy who has such a poor draft history, on top of the fact that last year's free agency moves, moving away from quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, was a massive mistake, and that probably is a major factor in all of this. But what the Vikings have done here in bringing in Matt Thomas is nothing short of brilliant. Nothing short of brilliant. This guy is going to free up Brzezinski to do more, right? And really focus on the bigger picture, while he's going to come in and help with some of the best cap and spending analytics that the NFL has ever seen. Saw fans posting things like this all over the place on social media immediately following the news. Vikings snagging Matt Thomas, the cap wizard who kept Seattle elite for 11 years, is a sneaky, brilliant move. Interim GM gets breathing room, draft stays sharp, and suddenly the cap mess looks way less scary. Smart football. But it's not just fans out there. I don't know if you read articles like I do. I'm all over the articles. Here's a quick little snippet that you might find interesting here. Thomas has been described as may also be the Seattle Seahawks organization's most important person you've never heard of. That's the kind of value he brought to the Seattle Seahawks. That's how he was perceived in Seattle. And that's absolutely the type of person you want to have around your organization in general. So definitely hit me up in the comments and let me know your thoughts about this move. If you like it, if you're like fine with it and don't really care, indifferent, or if there's something wrong with it, let me know your thoughts. I think this is a brilliant move. And it goes on the heels of this whole Brzezinski situation, which I think is really fascinating in its own right. Getting a little love this week from a great report on yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, from Ben Gosling of the Minnesota Star-Tribune on Wednesday, offering some insight into Brzezinski's near 3-decade run with the Vikings, noting that this spring will act as a trial run for the executive vice president of football operations to be in consideration for the permanent general manager role, which the Wilfs did not rule out. They will conduct an open process and name Adolfo Mensah's successor after the draft. But here's what he had to say. I'll try and summarize part of it and not do word for word all the way through it. But in 2002, Brzezinski stepped in as the team's top football executive. Brzezinski was part of the power structure dubbed the Triangle of Authority during Wilf's early years of ownership. He had equal say in roster decisions with Rick Spielman and the Vikings head coaches, with all three reporting directly to ownership. The Vikings won back-to-back NFC North titles in 2008 and 2009, which still represents the only time in the Wilfs' tenure that the team has made the playoffs in consecutive seasons, which is always amazing to me, by the way, because the Vikings have a knack of looking like a team who, in portions of a season, you think that looks like an unbeatable team. And how many times have you felt that way about the Minnesota Vikings? So to see stats like that is always just like, man, that is crazy when you think about it and how much potential they've had so many times. Wilf recently said he's going to build a collaborative team, work with the team we have, and that's where the expertise comes in here. He knows what we're strong at, talking about Brzezinski. He's going to know with his experience who he can lean on, and there are a lot of people to lean on in this building. I'm very confident in Rob and KOC and our entire football staff that will be able to navigate this situation, which brings me to the same comment question I have. I mean, do you feel as confident? Do you feel as obviously owners are going to say what owners are going to say. Coaches are going to say what coaches are going to say. GMs are going to say what GMs are going to say. They know how to play the media card. So I'm genuinely curious from your perspective. Let me know in the comments if you feel that confident. How are you interpreting all this? I think this is a great move. It's sneaky good because it's like one of those front office moves where you kind of like, people forget about the front office, man. Like, it's like, oh, what's the quarterback situation? And what's the assistant coach situation? And what, all that stuff, right? People forget about the front office and how important it is to have these guys in there. So I think this is brilliant by the Minnesota Vikings to snag him, get him in there. I think he was retired, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this is only going to help. This is the type of move that there's really no negative effect to this. It's only positive, in my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments below, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Thursday night.